But yeah, so it's the Real Estate Wholesaling Syndicate podcast. So we talk about all things wholesaling. Super excited to have Isaac Aviles with us today. Isaac, thank you so much for joining us, man.
Hey, Kai, man, I appreciate it, brother. How's everything going?
Man, life's good. I'm blessed. There's lots of ups and downs always in life, but yeah, man, I'm
Yeah,
grateful, man. Yeah,
yeah,
a lot to be grateful
absolutely,
for. But
absolutely.
yeah, so for people who don't know, do you want to introduce yourself and who you are
Yeah,
and what you do?
yeah. My name's Isaac Aviles. I'm a wholesaler out here in the North Texas area, DFW. Um, been in the game for about 4 years. So yeah, our wholesaling deals are pretty good. So I was always trying to get into flipping, but our wholesale spreads were so good that like why even put up with the headache, right? With the babysitting contractors and things like that. So I've been doing it, like I said, for 4 years, and yeah, I mean, just still working, grinding, and looking for deals and trying to help out families that are in a tough situation.
That's awesome, man. I love
Yeah.
that. So how did you get started? How did you first get into wholesaling?
So actually, I went to a it was a Tony Robbins event. I didn't even know it was about real estate. I just know Tony Robbins is there in Austin. I'm up here in the Frisco area, so my wife, she was like, let's go down to Austin and make it a weekend. Tony Robbins is speaking, Pet Bull's performing. It was like only $50. So at the time I was working construction, um, so yeah, we went down there. I didn't know it was a real estate expo.
Hmm.
So, then, the guys come up on stage, say, hey, we're having this deal regarding real estate and things like that. You don't need a lot of money. And then, my wife's actually the one that, was more interested in that. And we took the 3 day course well, the 3 day workshop that we had to come back the next uh, weekend in Austin. And, man, it was pretty a lot of information thrown at you. If you don't, you always think that you need a good credit, had a lot of money in the bank, and things like that. So they kind of planted the seed there, and then yeah, from there I was still working. I was doing real estate part time. This was before, I think, deal machine was out. So we would drive for dollars. They'd say that, and I'd get a notepad and write down the addresses, and then get on the county website, and then find who the owners were, and then would reach out to them. So that's why we kind of got started. Driving for dollars was my bread and butter. So um, my first deal was actually, I had a couple of deals, but they all fell through like the first four. So if you don't know your numbers and things like that, you could kind of go all over the place. So
Hmm.
my first actual deal was for sale by owner, and was able to get it under contract. And yeah, I was having a hard time selling it,
Hmm.
just because again, I didn't know any numbers, I didn't know anything. So that workshop kind of helped, but you had to have like 40K, 50K to get to some type of mentorship or something like that. At the time
Oh,
I didn't
damn.
have it. Yeah. So you know how they always upsell you for it. So
Yeah.
so I kept reaching out to this guy that I seen him on Facebook. He's pretty active in real estate. Always had like meetups here up here in my area. So I kind of reached out to him, and I reached out to him before, but he never really kind of gave me the time of the day. He was
Hmm.
super busy and stuff. So I reached out to him one more last time, and I was like, hey man, I got this deal. I didn't know if you could help me. We could JV on it. And so he looked at it. He was like, "Yeah, it's not a bad deal, man. If I can't find a buyer, I'll buy it myself."
Mm.
And that's how it kind of all got started with my mentor. That kind of directed me, and we did some pretty big deals since then. So
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I think there's some great lessons in there. Yeah, I think just to break it down for me, I think it's so much easier to get connections and meet people when you're actually in the game, and you have deals, and you're not just reaching out for a handout or trying
right,
to get someone's time or ask them to grab coffee or buy them lunch
yeah,
or something. But when you actually have a deal, and like I feel like people see that you're actually working, it's a lot more people want to help you when you're already in motion and taking that action.
right, yeah. They you got to give them something to work with, right? Not come empty handed to the table. So so yeah, I mean that's basically what I did. So he ended up buying the deal,
Hmm.
and so I was super excited. Hey, come to the title company. Again, I got a title company from a friend of mine that was a realtor. She goes like, "This title company is good. They work great with investors." So my mentor, he was like, I don't need to go. They're just gonna send me the papers. I just need to sign it. But he seen I was excited, so he ended up going.
Hmm.
Luckily, he did because they were trying to get my assignment fee to the seller,
Oh damn.
and he was, and we were like, we're kind of arguing, with it. Then the attorney came out. He goes, if you do some type of deal like that, you got to go out to the parking lot and give him like a check or give him cash. And my mentor was like, it's supposed to be on the HUD. And it
Yeah.
was like, no, I've been in this business for, 20 some odd years, and I've never had to. I was like, oh my gosh. So we got it figured out, and it was December, and I didn't get paid until that January when all the things went through. But it was a year and a half since I got paid, so that was like
Damn.
my first deal, and we just kept at it, putting money into it. Um, but yeah, he was like, "Bro, don't ever use that title company again. Here, I got this one." And since then, I just use that one title company here in McKinney, and man, those guys work great with the investors. So
Yeah.
uh, it's a big thing.
No, 100%. Yeah, you definitely have to vet your title companies, and especially when you first start, you don't know. But it's yeah, you got to find the right title company, or it can blow your whole deal for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that's great, man. So how much did you make off the first one?
So the first one, so like I said, it was a broke season for me, brother. So first one, it was $5,000,
Hmm.
but there was a affidavit airship that I needed to pay, and they wanted me to pay up front. So they
Hmm.
didn't want me. So I didn't have the money, so I had to borrow the money, and it was a couple other fees in there. So after me paying everybody back that I needed to, I think my pay was like $3,000.
Nice. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like more than double my first one. Yeah, I made like
yeah,
1,100 bucks off the first one.
yeah, yeah. No, the first one is it's one of those funny ones, right?
Yeah, 100%, man. So I know you spoke at our event back in February. You shared your biggest deal that you got up to that point. I don't know if you beat it since then, but you want to share your biggest deal that you've gotten since then?
Yeah, the biggest deal we got. So I was kind of born and raised in East Dallas. Is right like less than 10 minutes away from downtown Dallas. So that area is growing so fast. So I kind of knew the area, was real familiar with it. So I was always reaching out, trying for dollars, talking to people. Got connected with an investor that I called on her house, and then I asked her if she knew anybody else that was selling and stuff like that. She was like, "Well, I know this property. This lady told me that, she wants to sell." She gave me the number, reached out to her. So it was a nice area. And the thing about that particular property, it was vacant. It was attorneys that owned it, but they moved to Mexico to open a restaurant. So that house is just was there, right?
Hmm.
But on that particular house, it had an empty lot next door. So there was a house on that particular lot at one point, right? So we were sending it out to people, trying to get. I think we were trying to just make 15 to 20K off of it. And some of the investors that we were talking about, they're like, man, it's not a deal, bro. We can't make no money off this. You need to work, and all this other stuff. Like, man, but it comes with this empty lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, man. A lot of investors, just like that. That deal's not for me. So me and my mentor were talking. He was like, man, we're just going to have to put it on the market to wholesale it.
Hmm.
So we end up wholesaling the deal. We got the deal for um I think they wanted 260 for it. We got it for 240. We put it on the market for about 290 and got it sold. So we sold the house by itself. So we I made about, after the JV split and things like that. I think I made about 13,000 dollars. But so the empty lot next door, we sold it separately. I was like,
Mm.
you could build on there and things like that. Checked with the city, and we sold that one for 120.
Nice.
Yeah, so that deal ended up to be altogether probably about 140.
That's badass, man.
Yeah, off,
Yeah.
off of somebody that a lot of these investors didn't want it, and we're calling local investors that built in the area, and so
Yeah, no, I think that there's some great takeaways there too. I mean, for a lot of people, they'll get some initial resistance. Luckily, you had that mentor who kind of went over different options with you. For a lot of people, I'm like, oh, he told me it's not
yeah.
a deal. I'm just going to move on. But luckily you
Yeah.
kept going because
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
badass
The
strat.
there were two of them like that, and we had another one in East Dallas that was like that as well. Um, the lady, she originally wanted 200K. We gave her 150 for it. Abandoned. It's been like that for a minute, and she was an elderly lady, so she didn't want us to tear it down. So she
Mhm,
wanted to, and it was like a Victorian home from like 1910. So the structure was, it needed to be like completely restructured, right? And so she made us promise that when we put it on the market, I mean, we wrote the contract to not tear it down. So
mhm.
um, so we said okay. So we are trying to figure out, we are trying to sell it, wholesale it again. Nobody wanted to. Um, I think we did the hotel thing again, just cleaned it out. I mean, it needed everything, and we sold it on the market for about. I'll tell you, we got it on the market for about 240.
That's badass. Do you
Yeah.
wanna I know you kind of already explained as you're sharing the story, but for people who don't know, we got a lot of new wholesalers and people
Okay.
listening to it. Do you wanna explain what wholesaling is?
Yeah, hoteling is when you find deeply discounted property, right? And then you buy it yourself. So hotel is, you buy it yourself out of your pocket, pay closing costs, um, and then um, and then you just clean it out or do whatever you think you need to do. But you don't put no more than like $5,000 into the property. So once you do that, um, you throw it on the market, on the retail market, just because there's more eyes on the retail market that's looking for deals.
Mhm.
Um, so luckily for that particular one, the Victorian home family came and bought it. So we didn't have to tear it down because it needed to be tore down, but they were trying to, revise it or whatever, trying to put it together. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man.
yeah.
So how long was that, like, that first big deal or the second one? How long was that after you first started that you got those big ones?
Yeah. S- so in 2020, I started really hitting it in 2019, doing it part time. Um, well, I take that back. 2018, at the end of 2018, doing it part time. Still working construction until 2019. Then 2020 came, COVID hit, and then at the construction site they're like, hey, we got to send y'all guys home just because we don't know what's going on. And by that time I still had a lot of deals that I was talking to people. And so once my mentor helped me with that first one, I was like, man, I got these other deals that we could look at. I already talked to the people, they're interested, I just don't know the numbers or what to say. And so he helped me out, and that's when we just started rolling, man. It just, within, I think, March, April, May, we just started running and gunning on those things.
That's badass, man. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like that's really everyone's story, just really just persisting and just keep going because
Yeah.
I feel like there's so many opportunities where you can just quit and go back. What kind of kept you going in the beginning with those slow months and nothing seems like a bunch of deals fell through, nothing was really
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. I mean, just we kind of already invested money. Like we went to that workshop, and went to that event. Most of the things, like, we borrowed money from them because we didn't have any.
Mhm.
So just paying those people back, and then just pushing forward, just like, hey man, we're gonna do this, or we're not gonna do this. So we're just tired of the rat race, just working for other people. And so just pushing through, and just like I said, making a big difference, and trying to figure out what's your purpose when it comes to real estate, right? Um, money's good and things like that, but it really started hitting us when we see these people that are in a hard place,
Mhm.
and they don't think they could get anything for their house. They don't think there's no way out. So we love to come in and build a relationship with them, and give them a game plan to where they can they can move on to their next step of life. You know what I mean? With less worries from a house that needed to be torn down or something.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I know it's a lot of people don't think about that. They don't know about wholesaling, but I mean, you're solving problems, and you can really help some people, and it can, like, houses become like an anchor if it's one they don't
Right.
want, and it's there's really when you think about people and you think about solving their problems, it's when it gets a lot easier than just trying to find the best deal. And
Yeah, yeah. Then you build those relationships with your end buyers, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you want to leave enough meat on the bone to so they could keep coming with you. You know what I mean? I have one good buyer that I met at Home Depot because I had a We Buy Houses shirt on, and he's like, "You're a wholesaler?" And I was like, "Yeah." So we exchanged numbers. He was from San Diego. He just moved to the Frisco area, and he wasn't doing a lot in Dallas because that's where most of our deals were.
Hmm.
But he was like, "Man, if you find something up here, like up north in Frisco or Richardson or something like that, I'll be interested." So, like the first year, we just kept in contact. I was sending him deals. He didn't really care for it, but then it just started building up traction, and with him, and the relationship started growing. And yeah, with him, we already made six figures just with that one buyer. You know
That's
what I
badass.
mean? Yeah. So, and him too. He's like, bro, it's um on the other foot too. I made more than six figures off the deals you have sold me. So
Yeah, that's huge, man. So how would you recommend if someone's new, they don't have a buyer's list? How would you recommend they start finding those buyers and building those relationships?
yeah, I would definitely go to meetups. There's always like REI meetups, in your area. Just start building relationships, talking to people. That's what I did as well. As soon as there was always meetups, almost every week. So as soon as I get off of construction, my wife's bringing clothes and I'm sweaty, and I change in the car and we'll head to one of the local meetups and just build relations that way.
I love that, man. That's great.
Yeah,
So no excuses. I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, I worked a long day, I
yeah,
don't want to go, and
man.
just
If you
figure it
want
out.
it,
Hmm.
so.
That's huge, man. So what are you doing differently now in your business than when you first started?
Yeah, so definitely now, of course, with my business partner and mentor, he helped me out a lot. Just finding the right relationships, and he has showed me different ways to look at deals. First because I was all about the area. Oh, it's a great area, but if the numbers don't make sense, it doesn't matter how great the area is. So, just really focusing on numbers, focusing, not just letting go any type of deals. You know what I mean? Because of course, there's sub two, there's creative financing, there's some type of way that you could solve a problem for that particular seller.
Hmm.
So yeah, so right now, we're basically just doing the same thing. Um, Text messaging, cold calling, uh, door knocking and things like that. Kind of got away from the cold calling and tech and door knocking, and deals were kind of getting a little slim. So like, hey, let's go back to the basics, man. Let's
Hmm.
start knocking on these doors to start creating our own list, because that's the best list you could get, the one
Yeah,
you create. So
no, it really is for sure. Now, so how does door knocking work for you? Is there a certain list you go after, or how many deals
yeah,
do you
we
knock?
do the pre foreclosure
Hmm.
list. So just go and just ask them if anybody can has come by, and um, talk to them about options they may have and things like that. So again, they're getting calls and bombarded by a lot of people, but a lot of people are not knocking on their door. They're getting
Yeah.
a lot of texts and a lot of calls, but no people, nobody's coming knocking on their door. So
Mhm. So how many doors do you normally knock, or what's like what your
um,
ratio is?
yeah, I mean, we don't do it too much. Like I said, we just started back, so we look to about 20 doors, maybe a week and stuff like that, because I'm still cold calling on other deals and following up with some of the deals that we already have kind of like in the pipeline that we need to get under contract. So
Hmm. No, that's huge, man. So when you door knock, how many people do you think actually answer, or how many like transfer lead?
yeah, it probably half. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So it we do real estate full time, right? So I think the best times is the evenings and then the weekends,
Mm,
right? So but during the day we're cold calling, things like that. So
that's smart. No, that makes
yeah,
sense. We get them when they're home.
right.
Awesome, man. So how do you deal with the pre foreclosures? I know I feel like I've done some marketing to them, and I've gotten some deals, but a lot of them are just a lot more kind of defensive, and
Yeah,
obviously you're going
yeah.
through a tough time. What are some of the objections you get, when you're door knocking or calling them?
Man, they're saying that, why you keep bothering me, why y'all people keep bothering, calling me, texting me. I was like, hey, man, I'm just here, see if anybody come and talk to you about your options. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? I understand it's a tough time, but maybe we could help you somehow. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? So I try to take the nonchalant approach and just kind of, be there for them, but also to do the takeaway where, I don't really need you. You know what I mean? I
Right.
don't really need to buy your property. I mean, if you're okay losing it, that's fine with me.
Mhm.
I just letting you know there's other options out there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great perspective to have and great way to approach it. I feel like, when you're desperate and, you really want it too bad, they can tell and,
Yeah.
that makes people like stay away from you.
Yeah, you gotta get their defenses down because man, as soon as somebody shows up, their defenses is up big time. So just
Mhm.
trying to build that relationship with them and trying to you know see if you come a solution, a game plan, a
Mhm.
win-win situation for both parties. So
I love that, man. That's great. So yeah, and I know you're doing some cool stuff. I know you're starting to do your own real estate events up in Dallas.
yeah, we got one coming up September 9th. It's in Addison.
Mhm.
So we'll be there. We got a gentleman from believe it's Fort Worth. He does a lot of RV parks and things like that. So he's going to be
Mhm.
talking about that. And then a buddy of mine that when I started real estate, I met him through the meetup.
Mhm.
He works a 9 to 5, but he did a lot of flips and now he does new builds.
Oh,
So
nice.
so he's going to be speaking at the event as well. So
That's huge, man. Now,
yeah.
is this the first one, or how many have you guys done so far?
Yeah, it's the first one. Pedro De Leon reached out to me, and he's been putting on events, business network events a lot, and he wants to do real estate, so he reached out to me, and yeah, man, we connected, and I met him a while back ago at the Apex event, and yeah, we just hit it off, and it's all good.
I love that, man. That's great. Yeah, I love going to events, and it's always great meeting new people and being able to connect. And it's fun.
Yeah,
It's fun finding like-minded people. A lot of
yeah.
people don't have that in their jobs, their typical day. So it's cool going to events and meeting people who also into real estate or also doing deals and are also in the business.
Yeah, a lot of people, it's they come from different backgrounds, so different aspects of real estate. They kind of look at it a different way. So it's good to get other people's perspective when it comes to that. So
Yeah, no, that's great. So yeah, just a couple more questions. We're going to move over to the Q&A portion. So if anyone
yeah,
has any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat. We'll make sure to get them answered for you guys. So yeah, I think one of the big things I like to ask everyone is what advice would you have for new people that are just starting out or want to get into wholesaling?
yeah, I would say just do other things that people are not willing to do. People are quick to buy a list off a batch or pull a list from a list source or something like that. But best thing, best list you can make is the one you create. So driving for dollars was our bread and butter,
Hmm.
still is. You could go to a county, get water shut offs. You know, what else you got? Taxes and things like
Hmm.
that from the city. So you could go to the city and get those lists. Um, so I would say that's the easiest and it's a little bit more work, but the budget, if you don't have that big of a budget regarding your marketing, that's the way to go.
Yeah, no, I think that's great advice. Yeah, I think anything takes a little bit more work. There's less people willing to go the extra mile. So
Right.
that's
Yeah,
huge.
and the driving for dollars, definitely you want to get a deal machine app
Hmm.
type of app. But what I found out is the best way to do uh, driving for dollars. I would take two people with me. Me and my wife would go. Will map out the neighborhood, and she would look out. Her side. I would look at my side, and we're just shooting out numbers. And when I would go by myself, it would be like 150 properties, and then less than an hour we're at 300 with her. So it's a lot better
Wow.
just to work on in that sense. So
Yeah, no, that's super helpful. I know when we used to do drive for dollars, I didn't do it as much lately, but it was yeah, I'd go with Bree and
yeah.
yeah, it's much easier. One person's driving, one person's typing it in. That way you're not looking at your phone and driving,
Right.
having to pull
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
So do you guys have any like metrics or like KPIs or numbers that you try to hit when you're driving for dollars?
We just hit at least 300, you know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it's, you know, it could be less than that, less than an
Hmm.
hour that we could hit those pretty quick. It's just depending on what neighborhood and what houses are built, what years the house were built in that neighborhood, particular
Hmm.
neighborhood. So we kind of hit, kind of neighborhoods that are well established, that's been around for a while, but people are still buying them.
Right.
So,
That makes sense. So what do you look for when you're driving for dollars? Is there anything like in particular?
um, I I look for, roofs that need to be replaced, windows that are broken, high landscaping and things like that. Grass
Hmm.
is super high. We went to a area in Plano, which is Plano's a pretty good area around here.
Yeah.
Um, so we were driving again, well-established neighborhood. People buy those. There's not a lot of houses being bought or for sale in that neighborhood. So it just shows that people stay there. But when we are driving one, landscape was great, roof, everything was great. It's just the wrought iron pillars that were there. Michelle was like, that I think that's like an old person lives there and stuff like that.
Mm.
And she just took it down for that. I was like, why would you pick this one? This one's a nice house, you know what I mean? And luckily the guy did sell it. You know what
Wow.
I mean? So we made 30 grand, 30K off of that wholesale deal there.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah, that's huge, man. Yeah, I think yeah, you can definitely I think the first big deal we did, like the first two deals we got was from driving for dollars.
yeah,
So, it definitely works and you got the time, definitely
yeah.
do it.
Because sometimes those deals are not on the market. I mean
Mhm.
on the list because think about if their taxes are paid up, you know what I mean, or their landscaping's okay, but they have like you know uh, stuff on the roof, you know what I mean, uh, tarps on the roof and things like that. But everything else is paid up, so it won't be on the list unless you come by and look at it.
Yeah, that's huge. And I feel like the best thing too is like not everybody else is hitting them up, especially if you're in a competitive market like you guys up in Dallas or us in San Antonio.
Yeah,
You got to compete with a lot of wholesalers. So if you're driving for dollars, that's just your list, and you don't have people saying, "Hey, it's like you're the 10th caller for the day."
yeah, yeah, exactly. Usually, just this week, I talked to a lady and she was like, "No, I'm not trying to sell anything," but I could tell in batch she had like a lot of properties,
Hmm.
so she just hung up on me. So I
Mm.
texted her. I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry, we got disconnected." I said, "But hey, I didn't know. I understand you don't want to sell that one, but if you have any other ones or know of anybody that is looking to sell, I'd love to talk to them. Or if you're actively buying, let me know, and because I come across a lot of deals, and maybe be interested in you." So
Mhm.
she texted me back like a couple hours later, like, "Yeah, I got this one for sale."
Mm.
So we're gonna go look at that property next week.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah,
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, I love saying that. Yeah, we got disconnected, and
yeah.
yeah, just don't say, yeah, you hung up on me, asshole. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, I'm sorry. That lady hung. There was one lady that hung up on me 3 times, and I
mhm.
was like, we just get disconnected. She was like, No, I hung up on you. And I
Yeah.
was like, Well, I'm trying to answer your question. You're not on the not disturb list, right? And she goes, Yeah, my number's on there. I was like, Well, you probably need to. I think it expires every 3 years, so you
Mhm.
probably have to renew it. She goes, Oh, okay, thank you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So I'm like, so yeah, I just like to. They're gonna hang up on you anyway, so might as well
Yeah,
just.
yeah. Yeah, let's keep positive. Just don't take it personally. Yeah, it's huge, man. So no, I love that. Yeah, some great advice there. So yeah, let's say we do have some questions. If anyone else has some more, make sure to drop them. So we got Jamie LeBlanc said, "What's up, Kai? Hey, Isaac. What's up, Jamie? Thanks for jumping on,
Jamie,
man.
what's up?
Good to see you, bro." And then it looks like Roy Cruz said, "Do you have scripts that you use to door knock?"
I did at one point, but again, the basis of you just figuring out when you're out there. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? It's really great conversations, quality conversations you have with people.
Hmm.
Just really getting to know them and see what what their ideal situation is.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's basic. I mean, there's a lot of scripts, there's a lot of things out there, but if you have enough conversations, you can figure it out.
Hmm. Do you have like one that you use when you started, or just like an intro, like a first line that you say when they answer the door?
Yeah, I'm just like, hey, I'm not sure if you could help me, but I was just letting them know that I'm looking to buy a couple properties in the area and just wanted to come by and see if you ever thought or considered selling.
Yeah.
Nothing like, oh, I need you to sell or things like that. Have you thought about it or considered it? But I already know they need to sell it because it's a pre foreclosure list,
Right.
right? So I didn't come out of them like, hey, they're about to close on your foreclose on your home.
Hmm.
You need to sell it. So
Yeah. Now, if they do that, you're gonna make them real defensive. So
right.
that's the last thing you want to do. But no, it was a great question. And then Carlos said, I've been using the numbers from the AI on Deal Machine, even writing emails and text.
Okay. Yeah, nice.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't checked that out.
Yeah. I haven't used the AI on there on Deal Machine. I usually do skip trace through batch. So
Hmm.
batch has always been good to me. So I did have the batch driving, but it
Hmm.
just lagged too much. And when you're on the go, you can't have that.
Yeah, that's the worst. You like Deal Machine best?
Yeah, I like
Mm.
Deal Machine. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome, man. Well, yeah, I appreciate you coming on. I feel everyone else has questions. If you guys have any more, drop them and we'll make sure we go back and get them answered for you. But Isaac, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you and reach out to you?
Yeah, you could look me up on Instagram. It's Isaac underscore Aviles, and Facebook same thing, Isaac Aviles. So, yeah, I mean, we're just here. I try to help as many people as possible because I know when I started, how kind of tough it was. Not direct, don't know what direction to go to. So,
Hmm.
I'm always willing to help some people when I have some time. And yeah, man, my mentor continues to um, help me out when things are not going so great. Just he's been pretty great when it comes to encouraging me and enthusiasm, because of course kind of the real estate market's like a roller coaster right now. So
Hmm.
but just keep at it. I mean, there's somebody needs to sell. There's always something to happen regardless.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, there's always somebody looking to sell. So, man, I love that, man. Well, thanks again for coming on. Are there any final thoughts you want to share with people?
No, man. Just for the people watching, if they think that they're getting discouraged or um, thinking, man, there's a lot of investors out here. There's so many people that are doing the same thing that I'm doing and things like that. Because I felt the same way
Hmm.
until I came across a guy at a network event, and I was telling him the same thing. He could see I was frustrated, and he goes, man, you're right about all that. He goes, you're right about there's a lot of investors, there's a lot of people doing the same thing we're doing. He goes, but you know what? There's more houses out there than people,
Hmm.
than investors. So I'm like, okay, that changed my point of view big time. So there's always uh, you know houses out there that people need help. So
Yeah, no, it definitely is. No, I think that's a great perspective shift. I like that. Awesome, man. Well, thanks again for hopping on. Thanks everybody else for hopping on and listening.
yeah,
And
thanks guys.
yeah,